Dr. Quinn Capers gives us a model for really looking at how do we look at, in his original context, these admission decisions. But as I looked at and listened to his video, I hope you found the same kinds of things that I found. That the 5 things that he says that we have to be mindful of admissions actually are the same things that we can apply to both recruitment as well as hiring individuals. And so I want to say thank you, Dr. Quinn Capers, for giving such an eloquent presentation. And so we're going to look at how do we use those same 5 principles to kind of motivate how we think about doing the work of recruitment as well as hiring, as hiring managers. And the real focus of that is to help us illuminate the affinity biases that we oftentimes might have, right? And so when we see people who are like us, we say, yes, and let's invite them in. However, when we see people who we don't think we have things in common with, our natural inclination is to shun them or to not include them in either our project, in our recruitment efforts, or even not even think about them, right? And so when we think about what it means to be effective either in hiring or as a recruiter, it becomes important that we think about those things we have in common with the people that we're seeking to engage. Right? So we're seeking to engage them. And so how do we do that? And so here are 5 principles to think about. One is find commonalities with the group that you're trying to engage, right? So if it's a candidate, if you're undergoing a recruitment strategy, you look for things that you have in common with those folks. And so that's one way to short circuit our affinity bias, is to look for affinities that we might have with a candidate. It's one way to kind of get around this unconscious bias, is to actually look for commonalities that you have with a candidate, even if you don't necessarily see it on the surface. Look deeper, ask questions, probe more, so that you find those commonalities. Next is to gather perspective and try to understand the context by which people are coming to you, right? And so if you're at a career fair, if you are getting resumes in, try to understand what was the context by which these resumes came to you? Like, why are people coming to you? Why are you engaging? What are they after? So do your best to gain a perspective, because what I recognize is once I understand someone's perspective, I have a better understanding of their behaviors, their motivations, why they're engaging me in the first place. And so the second thing is to get a better perspective. Thirdly, consider the opposite. Before reaching a final conclusion, review all the evidence that you have, and look at what if you made a different decision? What if you were wrong? So ask yourself with critical analysis, what are the impacts of your conclusion? And so if you came up with a different conclusion, would that add to or take away from how you're developing a team, right? So if we added this person that's a little bit different, what might we gain by doing that? Fourth is identify a counter stereotype, right? So oftentimes, either through society or our own upbringing, we recognize that we place people into archetypes or into stereotypes. And so consider, what if your archetype or your first initial impression was challenged, at least challenge that impression, so that you can come to a more cognitive way of looking at things. And then 5, focus on the primary goal. And so if someone is coming to you, or either you're in a recruitment fair or you're looking at resumes, remember, what is the goal of this? Is the goal of that activity to find someone who is just like me, or is the goal outside of me, right? Does my organization, does my department, does my group need something different than what I might need personally, right? And so if we remember these 5 form a common identity formation. So find the things in which make us more similar. Secondly, gather perspective. So use data, information, other people to help you make a better decision. Third, consider the opposite. So if this is true, be a critical thinker in analyzing your decisions. Number four, identify counter stereotypes. So if there is a stereotype about a group or individual, how might that not be true, right? So what are the exceptions? And are those exceptions or are those the rule? And then five, focus on your primary goal. So why are you looking at resumes? Why are you engaging in these recruitment strategies? Is it to find people just like you? Or does your organization have a particular goal in mind?